Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav, and today we are going to learn how to read or how to get data from Excel in Java, and we will create a project and create the functions to read that data from Excel files, and we are going to use both xlsx and the older formats of XLS to get the data. So we are going to learn how to add Excel libraries in the project, how to create functions to get data. We will also see how we can create a utility and then call the functions from a different class, and then we will work with both the old and the new formats of Excel files. So this is going to be very easy and very interesting, and I will start from scratch from the very basics. Step 1 will be I will create a Java Maven project, and I'm using Eclipse. You can use any Java IDE. So I have Eclipse here. I will go to File, New, and go to Others and select Maven project. And in Eclipse, this in all the recent versions of Eclipse, Maven is already present. Just in case you are getting any issue, you can get the Maven plugin. You can also go to my website automationstepbystep.com, and under the programming section you will get Java, and you can also get all the videos on how to get started with Eclipse and the basics of Java. So you can see Java installation and then Eclipse videos here. This is just in case you are completely new and you do not have Eclipse as well. You can get that there. So I will create a Maven project. I will say next, and I will say create a simple project. Select next, and I will say Excel utility. You can name it anything, and here I will use the same name for artifact ID as well, and say finish. So you can see the project is created here, and it has a pom.xml file where I can add the dependencies. So here I have to create a tag for dependencies, and if I say dependency, press Ctrl spacebar on my keyboard, it is auto completing. I will select this, and now within these dependencies tags I can add the dependency. So for reading and writing Excel files, let me go to the Maven central repository from where we can add the Maven dependencies. I will go here. So here I will search for Apache PUI. Apache PUI is the library which is open source and is widely used for Excel reading writing in Java. And here you can see we have Apache PUI, then we have from OOXML. So I'm going to use this OpenOffice XML. I will click here and then go to the latest version. You can get whatever is the latest version at your time, and copy the Maven dependency from here. So copy this and go to your pom.xml and paste the dependency here. I will remove the comment. I will press Ctrl D to remove this line, and to correct the indentation I will select Ctrl A and then press Ctrl I. So this will correct the indentation. So now I will also save the project so that it will download the dependencies, and now you can see we have got a Maven dependencies folder here. If I expand this, you can see all the Apache PUI and required libraries are added, and this is the advantage of having a Maven project. Now I do not have to do anything for management. It will take care of all this file management and library management. In case a new version comes up, I will just have to change the version here, and I will save the project again, and everything will be taken care of. So we have created a Java Maven project and add Apache POI Maven dependencies in pom.xml. Now step number 3 will be create a package and create class. So I'm going to go to the src test Java folder, do a right click, new, and I will create a package, and I will name this as utils. I will keep all the Excel reading writing classes in this utils package, so it is good to have a separate package for this, and this can be common. You can use it anywhere in any of your Java projects. And inside the utils package, I will create a new class and I will name this as excelUtils. You can name it anything and save and finish. So the class is created here. Now let me increase the font. I will press Ctrl and plus on my keyboard. So now I can start writing functions here. So here step number 4 is create a function to get row count, and actually before this I should be having a Excel file created. So I will say create a Excel file and add some data, and then this is step number 5. So I will go to my project itself, and here I will go to the project folder, do a right click and say new, and first create a new folder, and I will name the folder as data and say finish. So let me just close this and say finish. Yes, this is done, and you can see the data folder is created here. Now inside the folder I will be creating a Excel file. So I will go to the location of this folder. I will do a right click, properties, and this is the location, and I will go inside data folder, and now I will create a new Excel file. So if I do a right click, new, I have got a option for creating XLS and XLSX worksheet. Now in case you are having Microsoft Office on your system, you can create an Excel file in Microsoft Office. Just in case you do not have Microsoft Office, there is a free option. You can go to Google and search for WPS Office. This is a very good software and works exactly same like Microsoft Office, and actually the file extensions are also same. So you can just download it for your operating system, Windows, Mac, Android. It works on everything, and then it is exactly like Microsoft Office. The extensions are also same, and you can actually use your existing Microsoft Office files like Excel, PDF, Word, everything with WPS Office. In my case as well, I have WPS Office. I will do a right click and new. I'm using the latest format, that is XLSX worksheet, and let me say I will name this as test data and save and open. And here I'm going to add some data. Let us say I will say I will add the data for name, place, and let us say age, and here I will say Henry Ford and age here, and I will save. And now come back to my project, and here I will refresh the project so that the file is shown here. I will do a right click and refresh, and now you can see the Excel file is here. The Excel file is here. The reason I'm getting two entries is because the Excel file is already open, and therefore it is shown this here. Once I close the file, this will go away. So I have created an Excel file with some data, and now I will create a function to get the row count. So here I will say I'll create a function public void get row count, and now because we are using the latest format of Excel, I will say xlsx workbook. If I press Ctrl spacebar on my keyboard, I'm getting this option from org apache py. I will use this, and you can also see it has imported the required classes here, so everything is fine. And I will give a variable, let us say workbook equals new xxsf workbook. Now here I also have to provide the location of the workbook, that is the file path. So for that I will create a string variable and say excelPath, and now I will give the location of the Excel or the path of the Excel. Now here in our case, because I have created a folder within the project folder and I have created my Excel inside this, so I can directly say dot forward slash and the folder name and the file name. Just in case you have kept your file at some different location, you will have to give the entire path here, and that is not recommended because in case you change the location of this project or take this project to any other system, the path will break. Now to handle that, one of the ways you can do is you can get the location of, so the best way is to put the file within a folder inside this particular project. Now there are two ways to get this folder. One is this way, I can just say dot and then the relative path, or if this does not work for you, you can first get the path of the project by using system dot get property, and you can use the property user dot dir, and let me save this into a variable. I will say project dir is this, and then let me also print it. I will say syso and control spacebar to auto complete the print statement, and I am printing this project directory here. So let me run this and check. To run this from the same class, I will have to use a main method. So I will create a main method. I will say main control spacebar to autocomplete, and this is the main method. And to call this function, I will also have to make it static because main is static, and I will call this get row count and do a right click, run as Java application, and you can see it is giving us the project path. And now I can just say here project dir plus, and I will remove the dot. So this will also work, but if the dot works for you, that is better. I do not have to do this extra, I will not have to add these extra statements here. So for us, this should work fine. So I will remove this as well. So now we have got our workbook. This is workbook. And now to get the sheet, I will say xlsx sheet, and again if you press control spacebar you can get it from this apache py, and I will name this as sheet equals. Now here I will use this workbook variable and I will say dot get sheet. Now you can see we have multiple options. I can get the sheet by sheet name or can also get by sheet index. I'm going to get by sheet name. So if I check here, the sheet name is sheet 1, so I can use this. If you want to get by index, you can use index 0 because index position starts with 0. So I will just go and say I want to get a sheet by name sheet 1, and now to get the row count I will say sheet dot, I can say get last row num, or I can also say get physical number of rows, and this should give me the row count. I will store it into a variable called row count, and then I can print to verify. I will say number of rows, and I will print the row count here, and to check I will run this, and some exception, let me check. Let me save this. I will save this, and now if I run it again, so there is some exception. Let me quickly check this. So here, Okay, I think we have to add a try catch block here. I will add a try and then close the try block and add a catch block and catch the exception here. I will say exception exp, and then I will say here. Now, just in case you do not know what I'm doing, this is I'm doing exception handling. You can again go to my Java tutorial here and you will find a video on exception handling. So you can see exception handling is here. So I'm just catching the exception here, and I will say here, let me check real quick. Yes, I will say here, I will print out exp dot get cause exp dot get message, and then I will print the stack trace exp dot print stack trace. So if I run it now, let us see. So it is showing us null. If I say this is fine, excelPath is data test data dot xlsx. Okay, so I got the issue. The reason is we have not provided the path in the workbook. So we have created the Excel path here, but we did not provide it here. So I have to provide the path here. And now I will run this again. And yes, now we are getting the number of rows is 2. So this is working fine. Now I will also need a function to get the cell data. So step number 6 is create a function to get cell data. So as of now we have only got the row count. We actually need to get the data from the Excel. So for that I will create a function public static void get cell data, and here these three statements will remain same because I again have to get the workbook and the sheet. So I'll just copy and paste these three, and here I will also have to surround by try catch, otherwise I will get an exception, or I can also use throws keyword. So if I do that, let me just show you. I can say here, so if I hover over this, you can see it is saying add throws declaration or surround with try catch. I will say add throws declaration, so this will also work. And then I will say here, I have got the sheet. I will say sheet dot get row, and I will give the row number. Let us say row number is 1. And if you go to your Excel, the index position starts with 0. So this is row 0 and this is row 1. This is column 0 and this is column 1. So I will say get row 1, and then to get the column I will say get cell and the column number, let us say 0, and then I will say, because I can say get boolean, get cached, so many functions are there. Because it is a string value, I can say get string value. I will also show you how you can get any value, whether string or integer or any data type. So because it is a string value, I will store in a string variable. I will say string value equals this, and I will print out the value. So I can just print out the value like this. And now to call this function, I will have to call from the main method. So I will call it from the main method. And now here, okay, the error is because I am throwing the exception here. I will also have to throw the exception in the main method as well, or surround by try catch. So let me just throw it from here as well. Now I will run this, and you can see it is printing the data here. Now just in case I want to get a numeric data, which is, let us say, this age here. So if I try to get this, I will say get cell 2 and run it. So here you can see I'm getting an exception, and it says cannot get a string value from a numeric cell. So for that, I will have to say here, instead of get string value, I can say get numeric cell value, and then I will have to store it into a integer, or I think it will accept a double. So if I store in a double data type and I run it again, you can see now it is running fine. However, it is converting into a decimal, and I do not want this. I can do some typecasting, but a better way will be, so that I do not have to use different functions for different data types, I can use a data formatter, and this is again coming from Apache PUI. I will use the data formatter. I can give any variable name, let's say formatter equals new data formatter, and then I can say formatter dot get, or I will say format cell value, and I have to give the location. So I will say sheet dot get row and dot get cell here, and that's it. Now this will get any data type, whether a string or an integer or a boolean or a decimal. So I will have to store it into a object data type. I'm using object data type so that it will store any kind of data, and then I will try to print it. So let me run this again, and you can see now it is printing fine. Now even if I have a string data, let me check, and if I run this now, it is running fine. In fact, now I can get any data. Suppose I have something like this, a decimal data, and I try to get this. I will say get cell 3, and if I run this, you can see I'm able to get this. So now this will work for every type of data. Now I have got a function for getting the row count and getting the cell data. Now I will create a constructor. I will say create a constructor, and I will show you what it is and how to do it, and get excelPath and sheetName as arguments. So what I'm going to do is, a constructor is a function which has the same name as the class name and does not have a return type. So if I say public and without a return type, I give the function name same as class name and create this function, this becomes a constructor for this class. And a constructor is always called whenever you create an object of the class using the new keyword, and I will show you in a moment why we need this. So I'm creating a constructor and I'm getting two arguments here. I will say string excelPath and string sheetName. So the reason I'm doing this is, we want to force the user, whenever you create an object of this class, you will always have to provide the excelPath and the sheet name, and I will store and create the workbooks here. So all these things that I'm doing inside the function, I will move it inside the constructor. So here I'm using the excelPath and the sheet name as well. Instead of hard coding, I will get it from the calling function, or the whenever an object is created. So I'm doing this. Again, I will have to surround with a try catch block or add a throws declaration. Let me just surround with a try catch here. Okay, so now I am setting the workbook and sheet here, and to make it, because these are local variables to this function, to make it global, I will put them at a class level. I will copy it from here and go to the class level and provide it here, and also make it static so that it can be referenced from any function. and the same thing I will do for sheet. I will put it here and again make it static, and I can remove this from here. So you can see now it is become a class variable and it changes color to blue, so we can know it is coming from the class variable. And now I can remove from the functions. I do not need all this because all this will be set in the constructor and we can refer directly. You can see the sheet is now getting referred directly here. I do not need all this. So you can see the get cell data function is reduced only to these 3 lines, and the same thing for get row count. I do not need all this, and in fact I do not even need a try catch. It is good practice to keep the try catch block so that in case of exception you can handle it properly, but for now I am just removing the try catch as well, because we are having the try catch at the constructor also. So here the get row count function is just reduced to these 2 lines, and I do not need the main method as well. I use the main method just for demoing and checking everything is working fine. Now we are anyways going to call it from a different class. So this is now our complete class. Let me just show you. This is our complete class. We have the constructor here where we are getting excelPath and sheetName, and we are setting workbook and sheet here, and then in the functions we are just referring the workbook and the sheet, and then we are getting the row count here and then getting the cell data here. So now this is fine. I will now be creating a new class, create a new class and call the excelUtils functions. So this is what we will be doing in real world. We will be having this as a separate utility package, and then from other classes we will be calling this. So let me create a new class within utils package. You can create it anywhere. I will create a new class. I will name it, let's say, excelutils test, and say finish. And now in this class I will create a main method. I will say main control spacebar and select main method, and here I will create a object of the excelUtils class. So I will say excelUtils and give any variable name. Excel equals new excelUtils, and now you can see it is forcing us to provide excelPath and sheetName, and I cannot instantiate or create an object without giving these two arguments, and that is the reason we created the constructor, so that whenever a object is created using the new keyword, we can force the user to provide these two arguments. So let me create a string variable for excelPath, and I will say this is equals to the path of our Excel file, which is dot forward slash data forward slash test data dot xlsx, and the sheet name equals to sheet1. So this is fine. Now I can use this Excel object or object reference to call any functions of the excelUtils class. So I will say excel dot, and you can see I'm getting the option. I can call get row count, and I can also call get cell data. And one thing I forgot is I have to remove the hard coding of row number and column number in the get cell data function. So you can see this row number and column number are actually hard coded. So I will say here in the brackets of this function declaration, I will say get the row num and get the column num. I'm getting these two arguments, and this I will refer in place of the hard coded values for row number and column number, and I will save it. And now if I go here, you can see this is getting an error because now I will have to provide the arguments as well. So I will say row number 1, column number 0, and now I can reuse it any number of times. So let me see what is the okay, so let me just add the throws declaration. Okay, and I can use it any number of times. I can actually also put this in a loop. So let me just try it out here. I will get the data from all these columns and check. So I will run this, run as Java application, and now you can see I'm getting all the data here. So I can now use it. Now let us see. Step number 9 is how to work with .xls format. So just in case you have an older format of Excel file, that is .xls. So let me just go and save this file as a older format. I will say save as, and I will select the this format .xls and save. So if I go to the data folder, now you can see we have two files. One is in the new format and the other one in the older format, and they have the same data. So for that, what I will have to do is I will go back to my ExcelUtils, and instead of xlsx workbook, I will be using hsf workbook and hsf worksheet, and I will have to import them again from Apache PUI. So I will import this, and I will import this, and you can see it is imported. I will no longer need these imports, and then also here I will have to use the hsf workbook, and in this older format we cannot directly give the Excel path like this. So for that, what I will have to do is I will have to use a input stream. I will say input stream from Java IO, and I can give some variable like file, and I can say new file input stream, and here I will provide the location of the file, which is excelPath here, and then inside the workbook statement here I will say new, we have this PUI file system class. I will use this, and I will pass the file variable, which is this one. So this is how it will work in the older format. Now if I check again, I will change the format here, or I will use the XLS file here, and then try to run this again, and you can see now it is working for the old format as well. So this is how you can use the Java functions and libraries to read data from Excel in any Java project. I hope this session was useful. If you like the session, hit the like button and also share with others, and do share your knowledge with everyone. You can also subscribe to this channel to receive new videos. I hope all this was very useful to you. Thank you for watching.